Hi, everyone.
Hello, we want to welcome you to Time for a Difference.
To the Difference Makers.
This is a weekly podcast for difference-making people who are inspired to make a difference to the people around them and be part of a voice in a world-changing movement. Probably the most powerful invitation to connect people to Jesus is captured by his words, "Come and see." For Jesus, the word "come" always has an immediate invitation and an open door of access to his kingdom world. When Jesus says "come," he is saying, "I'm inviting you to connect."
Now, as powerful as the word come is, the invitation of Jesus to see is perhaps more powerful. When Jesus says, see, what's he doing? He's telling you there is something of great value about me and my word worth seeing. And even today, the Holy Spirit is actively inviting us to come and to connect us to Christ. And the Spirit invites us to see such profound and beautiful kingdom realities that its value to us is worth everything we have. Today, we're going to look at the powerful connecting heart of Christ, specifically the way he touches people's hearts that impacted them in such a way that they surrendered their lives to live for him. In this episode, we're going to look specifically at how Jesus was always on the lookout to see people's connecting needs. That's what the Lord's looking at, is looking into our hearts and looking for those connecting needs. Now, why does he do that? So that he can touch them in a meaningful way that would connect us to God. We will see today that Jesus was always on a divine appointment, in watch mode, always looking to find and touch seekers' heart needs. We will see today that Jesus always had a welcoming heart and still has. He invited people to be with him and ask their honest questions. We will see today that Jesus never let people live in a dead comfort zone with God. Through his bold love, he opened up the doors of God's calling on our lives, and then he invites us to make a difference in his kingdom world changing mission. We will see today that Jesus always had his spiritual eyes on the lookout to see our God obstacles. Yes, we got God obstacles. Jesus would touch those obstacles in such a way that people would sacrifice everything to follow him. We will see today that Jesus teaches us to help people see who they truly are in God's eyes. Jesus would prophetically call people to live by a life-changing new name identity. We will see today that Jesus' invitation to connect was always our choice thing. He always let people graciously exit their God opportunity for any reason. Love does that. It lets us decide. We will see today that Jesus invited people to observe and experience his nearness to God.
So let's look at John chapter 1 and verses 35 through 51. We're going to look at it through the heart of Jesus. Instead of only asking, how were the first disciples called? We're going to ask, what does Jesus' calling teach us about Jesus' heart towards people?
That perspective would change your whole heart connection experience of what it means to connect to Jesus. Jesus does not begin by pressuring people or demanding instant certainty. He turns towards seekers and asks, what are you looking for? That's a big thing with God. He cuts through all the kind of the softer thoughts that aren't important, and he goes after that big one. What are you looking for? That question sounds like the heart of a shepherd who cares about what is happening inside a person. Let's look at John chapter 1, verses 35 through 51 to see how Jesus connects to us in 3 connecting stories. Difference makers help people connect with God by asking them, "What do you want?" God question. It says the next day, John the Baptist, with 2 of his disciples, when he saw Jesus passing by, he said, "Look, the Lamb of God." Now, when the 2 disciples heard John say that, they followed Jesus. And what happens next? Turning around, Jesus saw them following him, and he asked them gently, "What do you want?" They said, "Teacher, where are you staying?" And we see Jesus' invitation that he gives over and over again, "Come and you will see." So they went and saw where he was staying, and they spent the day with him.
The first thing to notice about Jesus calling to people is that he is sensitively attentive. 2 of John's disciples began following him, and Jesus just stops and turns around, which tells us that Jesus never ignores even our quietest steps towards him. Jesus is not waiting for us to have some polished words to connect with us. He notices when people are moving towards him, even when we are unsure about how to begin. Difference makers, always be a first move person in order to break the influence of hesitancies and insecurity obstacles that often stop people from connecting to Christ. Because Jesus has an invitational heart. He begins with his usual words, "What are you looking for?"
So his words, "What are you looking for?" is so tender, and it was invitational. It is so important that we lose our suspicious attitudes and simply just invite people to the reality that God has something for them. God's always going to be asking, "What are you looking for?" Then really he knows, but he's searching us out to see if we know. Now, Jesus' words, "What are you looking for?" creates an invitation with people to have honest freedom to talk and ask. That's why we hide what we're looking for, because we just feel like we can't say these things to God. But he's asking for them. Jesus always made room for people's hunger, curiosity, and yes, even your confusion. That is why we should always be looking for the opportunity to ask people, "What are you looking for?"
When they asked Jesus, "Where is he staying?" Jesus simply invites them with these words, "Come and see." These connecting words display the welcoming heart of Jesus. Christ-like connectors never keep people at a distance. Jesus always invited people to be close enough to him to experience his presence, his way of life, his love, and his friendship.
Jesus' "come and see" words is never a "prove your value to me first" thing, but rather it's always an invitation to nearness. Come near. Jesus made everything personal. He always wanted people to know God personally. That is part of the see. People need to see with God. Don't ever present Christ from some information about God kiosk. Stop it. Difference makers always answer seekers' questions from their living, experiential, their personal relationship with Jesus. You're representing a relationship, folks, not a religion. So let's go to number 2 today. Difference makers help people connect to their new identity in Christ. In verse 41 and 42 of this story, we see the first thing that Andrew did, one of those guys that spent some time with Jesus, it says, was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah. We have found the Christ." And he brought Simon to Jesus. Now watch this. This is strange unless you understand Jesus. Jesus looked at him. The first words out of Jesus' mouth, he said, "You are Simon, the son of John. You will become Cephas, Peter or stone."
After Andrew spends some time with Jesus, he is so excited about him that he goes on a journey to find his brother Simon. I love how Jesus' love impact on people creates this overflow. When a Jesus love connecting impact is rightfully felt, the overflow usually impacts everyone that we know. Andrew has encountered someone so full of love and grace and truth that he has his brother Simon meet him also.
When Jesus meets him, he looks at Simon and just gives him a new name. That's kind of strange, isn't it? That's a pretty bold thing. I meet you. By the way, I'm changing your name from Bob to Mike. So it's a pretty bold thing. Instead of, "Hi, Simon, my name is Jesus," here's what he does. He says, "You are Simon, the son of John. You will be called Peter," which means stone. Now, here is part of the mystery of Jesus connecting. Again, we're talking from what's happening in his heart. Jesus is always going to go after your destiny name. See, we all have names that inside of ourselves that we want to live by, we want to connect with, and we just don't feel like we're living in. That's your destiny name. And where does that come from? That comes from God. A destiny name is this mysterious thing in our hearts of who we know we are or what we want to be. And Jesus, in essence, tells Peter that unsettled, loose thing about your life is destined to change. Your name will be Peter, rock. You'll become solid. Difference makers. See and call out God's destiny name on people. As Peter's story goes forward, Jesus calling him Peter or rock, he's doing that every day. He's calling him Peter. What was he doing? He was speaking faith to something that was changing within Peter and what he wanted to become with God. That's the importance of what was going on here. So he goes from a person named Cephas to Peter. That is the heart of Jesus on display. Jesus always sees more than our Simon. He always sees more. Our present weakness and mistakes, he sees more. He will always see what you could be. Now, here's the question. Is it time to believe? Jesus sees the power of God's grace working in those things, transforming us until all that is left is the stone. That's what he's doing. He's transforming all the things in you that aren't not that destiny name. Jesus' destiny name for you is according to your God possibility. Well, I feel this thing inside of me, but it can never be that. It's your God possibility. That's where it gets hatched out of. Will you make it possible? In verse 43 through 51, the next day, Jesus decides to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." And Jesus does this one a lot. Philip then goes out and finds Nathanael in verse 45 and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth." Philip says, "Nazareth? Can anything good come from there?" That's what Philip said. He says, "Come and see." He used the same invitation he heard. So come and see. There's that invite again. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said to him this, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." And Nathanael's saying, "How do you know me?" And Jesus answered this, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree, before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." And Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than that." He then added, "Very, very truly, I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man."
With Philip and Nathanael, we see another side of Jesus' heart. Philip hears the direct call, "Follow me," and he does. Your greatest life mistakes with God will involve an attitude that requires God to jump through your hoops to get you to follow him. In whatever way Jesus touches your heart, let it always be significant and enough for you to connect and follow him. Philip then invites Nathanael, but Nathanael comes with skepticism. He wonders if anything good could come from Nazareth.
What stands out to me is that Jesus does not shame Nathanael for that question. Jesus doesn't defend himself. He just receives Nathanael. He's a lot larger than our little things that we are fearful of or insecure about or skeptical about. Folks, the truth is that when you hang around Jesus, it doesn't take long before all of us see a little nothing good of Nazareth inside of us. So Jesus isn't concerned with the nothing good, the bad parts of us. Instead, here's what I would say to you. Choose to be like Jesus. Choose to see something good with your eyes. If you have Jesus' eyes, there will always be something good to see. Don't miss those something good things. It has the power to keep your heart fresh for God, thankful and joyful. But once you get your eyes looking at nothing good eyes, then all of a sudden you're grumpy in life, right? Jesus' heart is not threatened by Nathanael's honest doubt. He meets him with truth because that is what Nathanael values. He was a man of no deceit. In other words, he valued the truth. In a world where almost everything is subject to lies, let your heart become like Jesus. Be a person of truth. Be a truth lover. Tell people the truth and let people tell you the truth, even if it hurts. Your credibility in life will only be measured by one thing: the truth. Jesus also knew that Nathanael had a real respect for the prophetic things of God. That's what's going on here. There's this prophetic exchange that's happening between Nathanael and Jesus. So Jesus connects with Nathanael's prophetic heart with 3 words of knowledge. The first prophetic word of knowledge was, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there's no deceit." The only person that could have known this deep value within Nathanael, what he has towards truthfulness would be God. And in that day, Jesus. So you can see what Nathanael's doing. Only God would know that, and he's saying that he must be fill in the blank, folks. Jesus' second word of knowledge to Nathanael, I believe something happened with Nathanael earlier, with God under the fig tree. Whatever it was, it had a profound God message to him that told him, God knows where you are at. See, God sees it all. So it's so important to let not the shame for our bad or struggling moments just kind of haunt us out, okay? Or become any kind of obstacle with God. God paying attention to you should always be an invitation for you to take. Whatever it is. If you're looking toward his grace, his healing, his forgiveness, or his transformational heart, never let your shame and failure become your secret with God, because it's no secret. Jesus' third word of knowledge was about something I believe that Nathanael heard when he was under that fig tree where God spotted him, right? Perhaps something maybe related to angels. That's why I think that this conversation's strange. I think when Jesus said, I saw you under the fig tree, I think Nathanael was thinking about some angelic activity. And this is why I believe Jesus said the words very truly, I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. He was telling Nathanael, and he tells us something here, very important, to know what happens to your life when you connect to God. Before I became a believer, I was skeptical on anything spiritual and miraculous. Hey, folks, that's the way people enter their investigation of God. They're skeptical. But since that time, I have seen and experienced so many amazing, powerful, and miraculous and beautiful things from God that I cannot help but be on this 24-hour, 7-day-a-week Jesus buzz. Okay, that's why it's always smiling and over the top when you look at me. Here is the point. Never let your eyes be averted away from the many realities that God's manifesting around you. They contain these things around you, the most beautiful and profound things that you will ever see. Don't miss seeing and believing any of these wonders of God because you're skeptical.
Jesus says he saw Nathanael before Philip called him. That is deeply personal. Before Nathanael ever saw Jesus, he already knows him. The heart of Jesus is a seeing heart. He sees the person beneath the question, beneath the attitudes, beneath the first impression. When Jesus tells Nathanael he will see greater things, we hear the generosity of Jesus' heart. He does not merely answer Nathanael's question. He opens Nathanael's future. Jesus calls people into a bigger vision of God's kingdom, where heaven and earth meet in him. So this passage shows us a heart that invites rather than intimidates. He sees rather than overlooks. He questions rather than corners. He names rather than labels, and sends rather than hoards. Jesus calls people because his heart is full of love and purpose.
For listeners, maybe the challenge today is to trust the heart of Jesus. If you are seeking, he notices. If you're unsure, he welcomes you to come and see. If you carry questions, he's not afraid of them. If you feel defined by the past, he can speak a new name over your future.
And if you want to be difference makers, we need to become a come and see people with the heart of Jesus. We do not manipulate or pressure. We notice people. We listen to their questions. We make room for relationship, and we point them gently toward the one who already sees and loves them.
John chapter 1, verses 35 through 51 is more than a record of his first followers. It is a window into the heart of Jesus. He calls people not as projects, but as beloved persons. He invites them into a life with him, and then through them, he invites others.
Thanks for listening. Here is my challenge for you this week. Open your spiritual ears and listen for Jesus' invitation. Come and see. Come close. Bring your questions. Let him see you, name you, and lead you into greater things. So we want to give you a big thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And I would ask, if you like this podcast, would you please consider joining our community and hit the subscribe tab. You can also find and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. We would love to hear from you.
Now, if you have a heart to be part of our difference-making podcast and outreach, please consider a donation at our Buy Us a Coffee link below. Keep it up, difference makers. Our world depends on you.